Well, hello, my beautiful YouTube audience of 50 subscribers. I hope one day, to maybe raise that to 51. I don't know. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know when and where it's going to be. But one day, I hope to raise this gargantuan 50 to a 51. So if you could help me do that, I would graciously appreciate that. What we're going to do today is go through some of the comments in my last video. Now, there weren't very many comments because, of course, this is a small channel with, as I said, 50 subscribers. I think it is 50 subscribers. So let's have a look at some of those comments in the previous video here. So we have Mr. Fuck off. He says boring. I think that's supposed to be a sort of a derivative of what Nigel says, or sort of like a quip on what Mr. Farage says. He always goes on talk shows and says boring. So yeah, very original that. So thanks for that comment. Not really much to say about that. Mr. Andrew Graham 508 says, left-wing YouTube is so shit. Yeah, okay. Is it shit? I mean, it depends where you're coming at it from, doesn't it? If you're coming at it from the right, and of course you're going to think left-wing YouTube is shit. If you're coming from a left-wing perspective, you're probably going to think that right-wing YouTube is also shit. One thing I can say about right-wing YouTube is that they don't particularly like looking at studies from universities, or indeed facts at all. They seem to completely skip facts on many occasions, especially in political debates. And they're not particularly objective when it comes to things like facts on immigration. They tend to just parrot, effectively, what Nigel Farage says, without looking into any of the statistics. For example, when Nigel Farage says that a proportional size of immigrants are claiming benefits, it's actually not true with many newcomers. Of course, why should you give benefits exclusively to British people? If immigrants are working in jobs and contributing to tax, then surely they should be able to pull out of that pot if they want subsidy on some universal credit, which is means tested, by the way. I think I've got a little bit off topic here. This is a comments video, isn't it? So, Kind Bud says, it's not kind, is it? Sorry, Kinbud says, no money for our homeless or vulnerable, but 8 billion a year for hairy-arsed economic migrants. Okay, so let me just cut that down straight away by saying that 95% of all immigration, including 2024 statistics, indicate that 5% of immigration is asylum claims. And would also like to add the caveat of those asylum claims are rigorously tested with things like linguistic experts on accents to find out whether the person is actually from, whether they're really from an area that is suffering atrocities. Your asylum claim will be rejected if you're not, and you won't be allowed to stay in the UK. With regards to the homeless claim, central grants and subsidies actually total something like £4 billion a year. So straight off the bat, this comment is, bollocks, quite frankly. But I do appreciate it, because it says here on ChatGPT, as I just asked it, spending is fragmented across departments, housing benefits via the Department of Work and Pensions, and often short term, making a total single figure challenging. but total expenditure, including central grant subsidies and local authorities, exceeds 4 billion, driven largely by emergency responses rather than prevention. And it says here, look, it says temporary accommodation, 2.84 billion. Total net spend after income and fees of council out of cost pockets after recouping from fees, rents, etc. 1.4 billion. Homeless prevention relief grants, £1 billion on that. So rough sleeping and special support. It's not, it's not nothing, is it? It's not nothing. I'm not quite sure what the Harry-arsed thing is about. If someone's arse is, I'm not going to go on a 15-minute rant about hairy arses. But if someone's arse is hairy, that's neither here or there, is it? Really, quite frankly. I'm wondering if it's like a subtle hint at the fact that these people are from the Middle East, largely, and they do have darker hair. So maybe it's sort of a sort of racial profiling comment, particularly. So next we have Alan Bastard, who I actually do know. Alan Bastard was a fictional character in a 1990s TV program, which was a political comedy starring Rick Mayall, which was actually an interesting take on what would happen. Think of Farage in this. What would happen if an extreme right-wing sociopath gained power in the UK government? How would they systematically dismantle the democratic system from within by crushing the civil service, by the internal repatriation of funds, etc.? And I don't know if that's why Alan Bastard is called Bastard, but I just find it ironic that that person who's made the comment has the same name as the Rick Mayall character. It's an okay show. Give it a watch if you can find it. It's more of a pastiche on Margaret Thatcher, I think, with some slight exaggeration. Not sure who will read this, as you've got all subscribers to this show you call a channel. So I think what he's saying with regards to shit show is that the channel does have some quite disparate content. So, for example, on one podcast I interview a Scientologist. Wasn't able to get... I have tried to contact various people about interviewing them, on sort of serious certain topics. I did want to do one on vaping. Wasn't able to get anybody on the podcast from any scientific institutions such as universities. I did actually want to try and speak to a physiologist who had studied it. I got one response saying that they were going to retire, but when your channel doesn't have any traction, it's kind of fucking hard. I know I'm being inconsistent here with my beeping, so I'm sorry about that. And various other. I've got another podcast with my friend Philip Anders, who is a print-on-demand YouTuber, very successful guy in his field. And I've got, certain commentary videos. I kind of would agree with that sentiment of it being a shit show of a channel effectively. But that's just because I haven't really found my niche as of yet. But thus I will continue. Anyway, maybe people who work hard and pay their extremely high taxes in this country don't want that tax money spaffed up the wall by Labour whilst they show utter contempt. This guy doesn't know how to use punctuation, does he? It's a very long flowing paragraph. maybe people will work hard and pay their extremely high taxes in this country, don't want that tax money splashed at the wall by Labour whilst they show utter contempt for people who genuinely contribute to society. Oh, he has used a full stop, sorry. Maybe reform doesn't have all the answers, but you can blame people for voting. But can you blame people for voting for them when the self-servitives and LIBOR have ruined this once great country? And you kind of have a point in the fact that the Conservative Party have repeatedly sat on their laurels, apart from doing things like crashing the economy or having illegal lockdown parties, which, by the way, Keir Starmer was accused of doing to a lesser extent when he had a curry and some beers around his house with some friends during lockdown. And yeah, I would agree with certain aspects of this commentary. The Labour Party, well, hasn't their first year in office been nothing but a shit show? Of course it has. It's been crap. Scandal after scandal, U-turn after U-turn, the cutting of PIP and various benefits, the reverse U-turn on the heating allowance thing, fund for the pensioners. By the way, which I think that should be means tested. Really, I think it should be means tested. Does it seem to make sense to me that you're giving like £250 winter fuel allowance to people that are extremely rich and extremely poor across the board? It doesn't make any sense to me. Means test it. And then you'll be able to get a sensible reduction. Of course, that's too easy a suggestion, isn't it? I mean, Christ, politicians wouldn't make things easy, would they? Of course not. Why would they do that? Labour's term in office, the Rachel Reeves scandal, the continual arrest of people protesting the actions of genocide in Gaza, people being picked up in the street for having a fucking placard. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is not the actions of a democracy. That is the actions of either a far right fascist party or a communist Stasi government who want to eradicate free speech. The less I go on about that, the better. I also don't agree with Labour's tough stance on social media sites like X and arresting people. I think there were was it Lucy Connolly, was it, that was arrested? They were very, very harsh by making an example on that one. Probably shouldn't have gone so hard on that. It's sort of absurd. And who were they trying to appease, like, on this stance, right? I don't think historically the Liberals would either agree with it. The Conservatives don't agree with it. Liberals that are for free speech don't agree with it. I don't really know what voter base are they trying to appeal to there. Maybe reform doesn't have all the answers. I can confidently say here that reform doesn't really have many answers, quite frankly, apart from the I word, immigration. And I can confidently say that if they did stop illegal immigration, that $5 billion annual figure that it does spend, not $8 billion, as far as I'm aware, I think it's more like $4 to $5 billion, is effectively a drop in the ocean when in comparison to things like a lifetime of people living on benefits from cradle to grave, completely subsisted by the state. What right does somebody have to be born in the UK to claim from cradle to grave any more than a snippet of funding is applied to an immigrant for, an asylum seeker, by the way, which is £9 a week if you live in not a 5-star hotel. That's like calling Morecambe Football Club a Wembley Stadium. Let's go further on into this comment section. If it was that number, think about that many people coming in illegal. What? If it was that number, think about that many people coming in illegal immigrants. Nice spelling of the word immigrants there. I hope that you have more than 4 teeth, Mr. Karma Cop. If it was that number, the left has destroyed this country. Watching from Scotland. Oh, hello, Scotland. Another feather in the cap of reforms swelling popular ground. So yeah, I'm trying to sort of decipher this. I'm sorry, am I being thick here? If it was that number, think about that many people coming in illegal immigrants. If it was that what? This comment is making my head explode. I'm going to move on before it gives me an aneurysm. Liberal arsehole. Thank you. I'll tell you what. James has made the effort there to type a few characters, and 2 people have liked the comment. So I really appreciate that. This comment at the bottom here. 100. I know this guy. It's Phil, my friend. So appreciate the comment. 150k people marching with a flag associated with a guy from the Roman Empire, modern day Turkey, and a flag made up of 4 countries with their own history and culture, and they want their country back. Makes total sense. Yeah, well, I agree with that. Absolute sense right there. And Mr. Kin Bud has said, hang on, we've got Kin Cop here. Hang on, no, what was it? It's the same guy. Sorry, I was thinking it was bots here. Well done. You know that it's the St. George flag. Now go one step further and understand the history of why it was chosen. Sorry, I haven't put the comment on there. This is the comment here. Why was the flag chosen? I don't know. It's something to do with the uniting of 3 countries here. But let me just type in. Let me just ask ChatGPT. It says here, the UK flag, known as the Union Jack, combines the crosses of 3 patron saints, representing England, Scotland, and Ireland, Northern Ireland today. Its design reflects the historical union of these nations under one crown. Origins: when James VI of Scotland became James I of England in 1603, the 2 crowns united in a 1606 flag, which was created to symbolise this union, merging England's red cross of St. George. Okay, with Scotland's white saltire of Andrew on a blue background. This first Union Jack represented the personal union of the crown. Let's have a look at the 1606 Union flag. That would be interesting to see. Okay. So that's Scotland and England, basically. Fair enough. It then goes on to say, after 1801, the Act of Union joined Great Britain and Ireland. The red saltire of St. Patrick, representing Ireland, was added, creating the modern Union Jack. The design balanced the 3 crosses to signify unity, though it's asymmetrical to prioritise England's cross. Yeah, I get that. Let's have a look at that flag, because he's asked us to learn, hasn't he? He's asked us to learn the origins of the flag, effectively, which is what I'm doing now. So yeah, in real time, excuse me. Yeah, I can see that. I see. Yeah, it's eBay. Yeah, I see that evolution there. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. And then finally, we have in what was it? Finally, the crosses were chosen for their deep cultural religious significance. St. George for England, St. Andrew for Scotland, whilst Saltire and St. Patrick for Ireland. Wales is not represented. It was considered part of England during the flag's formation. The flag was initially for maritime ships, needed a unified emblem, but became a national symbol over time, reflecting political unions rather than a cultural public vote. It was formalised by royal proclamation, not a democratic process. Okay, fine. Goodbye. Please leave some more horrible comments on the video below. I really appreciate your horrible comments. I would rather the comments be horrible and soul-destroying than negative ones, because I can just come in and talk about them rather than just agree with what they're saying. So thank you.